Hello, welcome to the fourth tutorial, I think. Welcome to the fourth tutorial on this Android login and registration system. Now, last time I absolutely made some really silly mistakes, and the file that I uploaded wouldn't run, and I just figured out why. Like I said earlier, in the previous video, that you should always watch your spellings, watch your, watch the typos and everything else. What I realized that is I have this error code here, but I forgot to add a semicolon at the end. So in my understanding, I'm guessing that's the only thing that's missing there. But just make sure that you guys have this as well, the semicolon and everything. Make sure that everything is closed up properly. If it is, then it should work for you guys. Okay, so let's try this again. Hopefully this time it will work. Just have to double check that is the right one. So just re-upload that back into your hosting sites. Make sure you overwrite the previous one or just delete the previous one and upload it again. And hopefully this time it should work. I should get that error message that I was waiting for. There we go. So there, as soon as you get this, then that means your API is working and it's ready to run. Okay. The good thing about this is this API it's not accessible unless you're actually using an application that will send in the request tag, which is the login and the the register tag. Okay. So if you browse this by the browser just like I'm doing right now, this is all you're gonna get no matter what you do there, unless you could some way figure out how to pass in the correct URL tag and so on. Otherwise, like, you're just going to keep getting this. Okay, so once you have that, then that's perfectly fine. Okay, so now we can move on to the next step, which is creating our application. Okay, so we're done with the server side, we're done with the API. Now just to create the applications and to run the files. Okay. Alright guys, whenever you're ready, open up an Android Eclipse or whatever Android Studio if you're using Android Studio. I'm going to be using Eclipse. Okay, so just go right ahead and create a project, and if you already have your own project that you're working with, then that's fine. You can continue with that. So basically, your login will be something similar to what I have here. Okay. So you're gonna need you're gonna need an email field and a password field, okay, and two buttons: a sign in button and a register button. Okay, well, not register button. Okay, and for your register, then you're gonna have something similar to this as well. You're going to have a name field, an email field, and a password field. And then you're going to have a register button and go back to sign in button. Okay. Now, if you want, I will be leaving a link in the description that contains my sample projects, something similar to what I have here. Everything like the layout and everything, so you can just work with that one if you want, or if you want you can create your own, like I said. But like basically that's what I'm going to have anyway. If you planning on having like additional things, then you can do that. It's all up to you, but for what we're doing right now for this tutorial is just we're going to have something similar to this, and then for the once you're logged in, you're going to have something like this, like a main profile page where you have the user full name, the email, and then a logout button and whatever else you want. Okay, so this is all I have for mine. Okay, so you're gonna have something similar to that. Okay, and then once you have that, then we need to make a few changes to our manifest file. Okay, so in your manifest file, make sure you add a permission for the internet, because we're going to be connecting to an online server. Okay, so you're going to need that internet permission for your application in order for it to work. Okay, and then make sure you have all your other activities as well added into that. Okay, and then once you have that, then that's great. Okay, and then the third thing is you're going to need a library. Okay, you're going to need a library. It's a Volley library, and basically the Volley library will be in charge of handling all of our requests. Okay, so instead of using the Android async task class, we're going to be using the Volley library. Okay, I'm going to put up a link in the description part so you can download the Volley library. So once you have the Volley library, just drag it and drop it into the libs folder. Okay, so that it adds it into there. Just copy the files. Okay, don't use it as a link, just actually copy the file so that it's physically there to your inside your project. Okay, and then once you have that, then you are ready to start coding. Okay, so we're going to start working on the Java part. Okay, now I need you to have two additional package. Okay, one package will be the app package and the next package will be the helper package. Okay, so under the app package, we're going to create two classes. Okay, the first class will be an app config class. Okay, so you can say app config and just save that, and this will be just a plain Java file, and basically this class is going to have all of our links or URLs or our API links. Okay, so we're going to say public static string. Okay, public static string, and this one will be login underscore URL, and then you just pass that as that. Now, in order to get your login, now remember in your website, this URL here will be your login and your register URL, okay, because that's where your index file is, and your index file handles the login and register. Okay, so if you go back to your project, just put that URL in there and do the same for the register as well. So you say public static string register underscore URL star, oops, say quote and semicolon. Okay, and that's all you need for the app config file. Okay, for the time being, that's all you need. Okay, and soon we're going to be moving on to the next one. Okay, so the next class that I want you to create is an app controller class. Okay, now this app controller class deals with handling our request. Okay, this is the class that's going to run in the background thread, handling all of our API get request and post request. Okay, so create a class, call it app controller. Okay, and the app controller will extends the application class, application class. Sorry, and then just make sure you import the necessary class. Okay. Now the first thing that we need to do is we need to say public static final string, and then this will be a tag. Okay, and then we're going to say app controller dot class dot get simple name. Okay, so we're going to use this as a tag every time we log our errors into the logcat. We're going to pass in a tag to say, okay, this class throws this particular error. Okay, then after that we're going to say private request queue. Okay, and then you can call it MQ. Okay, or just call it just call it my request. And make sure you import this. Now this is part of the Android Volley class that the Volley library that we imported there. So import that in, and then you have to say private static app controller, and then this will be instance. Okay, so we're just going to create an instance of the app controller, and then the next one we said at override, and we override the method public void on create. Okay, then in the on create we're going to say super dot on create. Okay, and then we're going to say instance is equal to this. Okay, then after that the next method is going to be public static synchronized. Okay, and it's going to be app controller, and the method will be called get instance. Okay, and then that will return instance. Okay, and then the next one is we want to create a get request method. Okay, so public request queue, call it get request queue. Okay, and then get request queue, and then we're going to say if my request is equal to no, then we're going to say my request is equal to Volley that new request queue. Okay, and we're going to say get application context. Okay, and then after that we're going to say return my request. All right, and then the next method is the add request method, or add to request. So we're going to say public say void, let's say add to request queue. Okay, and then this will take in the request type T. Okay, and a string tag. Okay, make sure to import the request. Okay, and remember this is the Volley as well, so import tag request, and then what you want to say is request set tag, and this will be text, sorry, text util that is empty, and tag, and we say tag. So if the request is empty, then we use the main tag, but if the request tag is not empty, then we use the actual tag. Okay, so this is just an if statement condition saying, okay, if the request tag is empty, then use the tag, else use the actual tag itself. So use the class tag if it's empty. If it's not empty, then use the actual tag that we sent in. Okay, and then we're going to say get request queue. Okay, dot add, and we add a request. All right, and then the next one will be another request method. We want to say public type T void add to request queue. Okay, and then this time this one only takes in the request. So request type T rec, and then this one says request set tag. We just set the tag to tag. Okay, so set tag to set tag to the main class tag, and then after that we say get request queue dot add request. Okay, and then the last method, which is the cancel request. So we want to say public void cancel pending request. So cancel pending request, and then the pending request, then it takes in an object or tag. Okay, and then it's going to say if my request is not null, then my request dot cancel all object tag. Okay, all right, so that's that for the app controller. And now we need to add the app controller inside of a manifest file. So if you go to your manifest file, then you go under the application, just right before everything else, you say Android name is equal to, and then you should be given an option for your app controller there. Just select the app controller and add it there. Okay, so that's where your app controller will run. Okay, all right, let's see what we have for time. Start plenty. So once you have that done, then we're ready to move on to the next one. Okay, so we're going on to the helper class. Okay, so we need to create a session manager class. Okay, this will manage the session to see if the user either is logged in or logged out and so on. Okay, so create a class under the helper package and call it session manager. Okay, and then in the session manager, again, the first thing we need to do is say public static final string tag is equal to session manager that class that get simple name. Okay, and then after that we want to say shared preferences. Okay, we call it pref. Just import the shared preferences there, and then we're going to say editor. Okay, make sure you import that as well, and we want to create a context underscore context, import that as well, and then we're going to say int private mode is equal to 0. And now we're going to say private static final string, and that's what we're going to call it pref. Let's go name, and then you can just give it whatever name you want. This will be a preference name that we're going to be using, so I'm going to call it login API test. Okay, that's what mine is called. And then the next one is going to be private static final string, this will be the key underscore is logged in. Okay, and then this will be this will be like a string type that we want to set. Okay, so this will be is logged in. Okay, and then after that you're going to say public session manager, and this takes a context. Okay, and then we're going to say this dot underscore context is equal to context. Okay, and say pref is equal to context dot get shared preference. Okay, and it's going to be pref name, pref underscore name, and then private mode, private underscore mode. Okay, and then we can say editor is equal to pref dot edit. Okay, and then after that we're going to create a method. Say public void set login, and this takes a boolean is logged in, and then here we want to say editor dot put boolean. Okay, and the key is logged in. Okay, and then the value is logged in. Okay, and then after that I want to say editor dot commit, and then you want to say log div tag, and then here we want to say user logged in, user login, okay, and then the last method, public boolean is logged in, and then this will return either true or false based on whatever we have in the preference. Okay, so we want to say return pref dot get boolean. Okay, and then the key is key is logged in, and the default value is false. Okay, so whatever we have stored in that shared preference, it's going to return that value as a boolean, and then it's going to get out if the user is logged in or not. Okay, we're going to be checking this a lot every time the user goes to a different activity to see if the user is still logged in or not. Okay, so this is it for the session manager. Okay, so let's see what the time we have. Okay, 25, so we can stop there. We're going to continue on next with the SQLite handler, and then that will hold up all the user's information. Well, it's going to hold the information for the users who's currently logged in at that particular time. That way, if you ever need to actually access the user's, let's say, email or name, you don't have to go back to the API to get the call again. You can just use the SQLite and see if the user email is stored into that database. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.